good time, everybody.
Good time.
Good
Hello.
time. Good existence upon this rock that we call a planet. Welcome.
Morning, evening, night, midnight, who cares? Whatever, it's a time and you're here.
Welcome to this Toonkind until FPS. My name is RJ, and I'm playing not my usual suspect today. I'm playing one of the other fuckers in this town.
Yay!
I'm playing Duke, Ro van der Rote Vloes, and he is going to remount a baby vampire, as one does. So, if said baby vampire's player would like to introduce herself, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Artist of Obsessions, also known as Abby, and today I'm playing my vampire, Cassius Sorrel Undeed Blackmont III. He's the son of a duke, but I don't know what that means, so...
Many fucking names. Jesus Christ.
So many!
Just
yeah, he's got a lot of them. The most.
So, this does take place after, the Mercenaries, and technically also after, what the fuck was the name? The Diamond of Despair. Although, you don't necessarily need to have listened to that one to understand this one. You probably want to have listened to the Mercenaries at the very least, though. Yeah, so mind the content warnings for the Mercenaries, because those will mostly apply here. But in particular, Cassius bit someone, so we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, Cassius bites a lot of people.
Cassius really needs to...
People.
I can't make that joke in this server. Anyway. He took a sippy, and it's bad, and we need to talk about that. So, Cassius has been called to Ro's office to come talk about things. Because Ro is a vampire, living in Monster Town, and apparently someone needs to teach the baby vampire some fucking manners. So, he has summoned you to his office. How are you feeling, Cassius?
Goddamn manners. Oh, God. Oh god, how is Cassius feeling? The feelings he has handed me is similar to the feelings of, like, when you're a kid being summoned to the principal's office and you're just filled with shame.
Yeah, sounds right.
His whole experience of feelings lately has just been a whole lot of shame.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I don't know if he hides it well, but he
I mean, I would say probably not. But Ro's got a +3 to insight, so...
At least not around the other people who frequent Halloween Town. Y'all and your horrifyingly crazy insight modifiers. Jeez. Anyway.
Listen, when interacting with Lynn, one is forced to adapt.
Yeah. True.
But yes, I'm realizing that probably most people in the audience right now don't know what he looks like, but so that's what Ro looks like. Yeah, so nice. you get pulled in pretty quickly, because Ro has been expecting you. And there is, like, first and foremost, Ro's office is a library. There are wall-to-wall bookshelves, there's a desk, there's some cabinets just behind the desk, which even, like, not even, like, trying to look out for such things, you can tell those display cases are heavily warded. Like, it would be an arm and a leg trying to get into those things. The bookshelves, the books on the shelves that you can see kind of vary wildly in subject. Everything from, like, botany and horticulture, to sociology and psychology, to architecture, to, like, the minutiae of casting in certain schools of magic, to the politics of the Feywild. If you can think of a subject of book, there's probably one of those on that shelf. Because, you know,
Damn,
he's
okay.
the head teacher of a school.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he is, you know, definitely looking at you as you come in, and he kind of gestures to one of the seats in front of his desk. His hands are steepled in front of him. And he kind of like, you know, waits for you to come sit down.
Cassius in his tall, lanky glory will, stalk into the room and, like, kind of look down at the seat that has been presented before him and just unceremoniously, sit himself down.
Would you like a drink?
I would not be opposed to one, no.
Reaches into his desk, pulls out a tea set, taps a rune on the tray. Yeah, taps the rune on the tray, which starts glowing orange. You can see it's like a minor heating array. Puts the teapot on it, it warms up, pours tea. It's very, very red.
Yep. That's the kind Cassius can drink. Thumbs up.
Yep, it is absolutely the kind that you can drink. Figured he'd start with, you know, normal tea, just very red tea. But before maybe moving on to something harder if needed. Probably not while Cassius is in the room, but there we go. So yeah, you are offered your tea. There is sugar and milk on the table if you would like it. He takes his own teacup.
Cassius is not a sugar and milk fan. I think he's just gonna keep it as is and take a sip.
It's very tasty. If I were a tea person, I could tell you what kind, but I'm not, so I won't.
I'm also not a tea person, so we can't. We handshake there.
We are nodding and handshaking. Yeah, it's very nice tea.
Yep.
Very well made. Ro takes a sip of his own, puts his teacup down, and then, not like looking directly at you, goes, "Tell me, in your own words, what happened."
With what in particular?
This the whole endeavor.
Cassius, kind of like straightens up his back a little bit as one of his fingers just kind of starts tapping against the side of the cup. Well, I came across a job offering that seemed to promise good pay. And at the time, it seemed very tempting to take. Like Cassius kind of murmurs before taking like a little sip. A long story cut short, I took the job. We were successful, but in the process I bit someone, and afterwards came to regret my decisions.
What precisely was it that you regret?
Taking this, making, like Cassius kind of like furrows his brow and like tries to think on those specifics.
Ro gives him time to think.
If you are expecting some answer that I come to regret, doing the wrong thing, that's not the truth. I regret getting caught.
If you are expecting censure in terms of morality, you are asking the wrong vampire.
Like, Cassius, like, quirks up an eyebrow at that.
Vampires are inherently predators. We feed off of people, things. There are some who learn to sustain themselves on that of animals or of non-sentient creatures, but for the majority of us, that is not an applicable path to take. How did you get caught?
Well, I was wearing a disguise at the time, and after attempting to stop myself from... And he kind of lets the thought hang in the air before it kind of is left unfinished, but the implication is left there. I was distracted with what had happened. That I was not careful with keeping up my appearances, and the person who hired me came to find out that I was in fact, and he gestures to himself, a vampire. And apparently this was cause for him wanting to hunt me down and not leaving anything. I believe the exact words were, "Get dawned, parasite." I was lucky enough that there was a contract in place that prevented that from occurring.
Ro, reaches up and removes his monocle, so as to be able to massage the bridge of his nose. And then cleans it off, replaces it, looks Cassius dead in the eye and goes, "You are possibly the luckiest vampire I have ever met. But that means you have also placed us in quite the uncomfortable position."
Cassius just nods and kind of like takes another sip of the tea just to settle his building nerves.
Halloween Town is a sanctuary for monsters. There are many who would seek to come here to cull. Not just our kind, but many who live here.
I am very aware. Yes. Like Cassius murmurs, because...
Are you truly aware? Have you seen firsthand the purges? Have you witnessed family members be cast into dust, smoked by radiant abilities? Have you?
Considering my family is the one doing the smiting most of all. Most of the time, yes, I have seen. Just on the other side.
But that is not the same. I appreciate that you have some familiarity with it. But watching your family burn others is not the same as watching your family burn. He sighs, takes a sip of his own tea, and it seems to be thinking through how he wants to word what he's about to say.
Mm-hmm.
How did you become a vampire? Forgive my bluntness, but I truly cannot see a more sensitive way to ask this question.
Cassius kind of like rolls his eyes before he tries to gather the words as well. My transformation into a vampire was not the typical occurrence. I retired for the evening one night and had a very strange dream. There was a carnival, and Cassius thinks about it, trying to think about what specifically to talk about during what occurred there. I encountered a few individuals in my dream, and it resulted in them. I remember my blood being consumed, and then someone pouring something into my mouth, and then I drank, and then pain. A lot of pain. And then when I woke up, I was like this.
Roll insight.
Insight! Cool! Cool. Oh gosh, Cassius, what's your insight? Ah, yes, it's the easiest one. The one where I roll the number and tell you it.
Yeah, okay,
13.
Yeah. You don't see through. Out of character, you have thrown the vampire off of his roof. In character, choose to take this information in stride. He mulls this over and goes, "So then you have not been taught how to feed. This was irresponsible. Then again, he doesn't finish that sentence."
Yeah, Cassius is just sitting here I know how to eat. I've been doing it long enough to live this long.
He rolls his eye. He sees that, and then rolls his eyes and goes, "You know the very bestial instincts. You have not been taught how to feed. These are two very different things."
Then what is it? Enlighten me.
Before you feed on a person... Let me start again. Before you feed on a person in a peacetime setting, with blood given willingly, you first test it. A small cut on the palm or the finger to draw but a few droplets out. You imbibe them, and then, if there are no serious side effects, after some time, you continue. Most of it feeds from the neck, others prefer the wrist, some do thighs. It really comes down to preference. But no matter how or where you feed from a person, you must always be careful. Do not take too much, do not take too fast. Likewise, if upon tasting the first few drops, you find yourself desperate for more, obsessed over it, That is a sign that you should stay very far away from this person until you can overcome those feelings. For their blood, it will be very dangerous to you. In combat, I would not recommend that you use your fangs offensively, only as a last resort. You are young. Your instincts are still very wild. Most vampires do not overcome the base frenzy until they are much older than you are. And that is for those who have been born such. Turned vampires take even longer. I am a little bit surprised that the one who turned you did not impress his upon you. Also, it would not surprise me to find out that he tried and you did not listen. And he just lowers you a deadpan look.
Yeah, no, you mentioned the second part, and then Cassius is immediately looking away and like drinking the last of his cup of tea. Guilty as charged.
When someone tries to teach you something, it is usually good practice to listen.
Forgive me if I didn't want to listen to the person who turned me.
They would have the most experience. I can understand why you might be resentful. Most who are turned are resentful. There are reasons why seeking the vampire who turned you and wishing to kill them is such a common thread amongst vampire hunters. He just looks very tired about that.
Yeah.
You are... I truly believe that you are not stupid. Yet in this case you were so overcome by blood frenzy as to lose your composure entirely. I need to know why.
This particular when I attempted to drink from this individual, their blood tasted unlike anything I've ever had before.
Can you describe it?
It was... I believe the best word to suit it would be referring to it as ambrosia, or the equivalent. I couldn't just have a single mouthful. I needed more.
Ro's eyes widen slightly and then narrow. He is frowning quite deeply.
Yeah. Cassius looks extremely uncomfortable about admitting this, by the way. He's fidgeting in several places.
Ro will wait until Cassius is done talking. If he looks like he's got anything else to say.
I think that's all Cassius has to say. Just the bare bones description of, yeah, that shit tasted good. But in Cassius terms.
Could you smell this blood before it was spilled? Or did you only have this reaction upon imbibing it?
Cassius thinks back for a moment before. It was... I only recall that it affected me in such a way when I had tasted it, but I don't believe it was spilled before then.
He nods, still frowning deeply, but, looks a smidge less concerned than he did.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a note on a piece of paper beside him, or a piece of parchment beside him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you speak... You probably don't actually speak vampire, do you?
No, I don't.
You don't.
I can tell you what he does speak.
Sure. What does he speak?
Common, Grolix, and Abyssal.
Well, they have 2 languages in common at least. Yeah, yeah. You don't know what he's written down, but he's written down something. Actually, what is the script for this language? It doesn't have one. Okay, it doesn't say. Yeah. Yeah, he is definitely writing something. Kind of taps dips the quill back into the ink and then taps it against the side of the ink pot, thoughtfully. I've issued you a warning about this person. I'm assuming it was the, persons that you kidnapped.
Cassius nods. Yeah.
Notes that down. Puts the quill back in the ink pot. Staples his hands again. And goes... You have implicated that your family are monster hunters. Are they likely to come after you?
Cassius immediately nods, like he doesn't even have to think about it.
Shit.
I can think of several family members who would be very happy to be the ones to... Goes to sip tea. There's no more tea.
Ro will pour him some, very deep in thought.
Mm-hmm. I've attempted to be careful in keeping my existence on the quieter end of things.
And yet you go
At
by your
least
full
in
name.
the perspective of... Cassius's eyebrow twitches and, like, he just embarrassedly, like, takes a sip of his tea.
Setting aside that very blatant mistake, Halloween Town offers refuge to those who come requesting it. We are prepared to offer you said refuge, but you would have to abide by certain rules. You have attracted the attention of a very powerful spellcaster, one that we could oppose under normal circumstances, but at the present we are...
I prefer we avoid it, and I prefer we would avoid it entirely.
That may not be possible.
Possible.
That may not be possible.
Cassius, like, puts his head in his hands.
From what has been relayed to us so far, he does not seem to have the same divination focus as the other four we face. But he is still very powerful. If he can cast imprisonment, as has been suggested. We have ways to protect you from such things. However, short of one of our clerics conjuring a miracle, I could not remove you from his radar entirely. If he knows where you are, if he was able to track you coming to Halloween Town, the fact that he cannot see you now will not stop him from storming here. If he is as desperate to hunt down you as you say. So I offer you a choice. You may stay here and we will protect you to the best of our ability, or you can leave, protected by the amulet that Gregory has given you. With the knowledge that you can return any time. Your location will be unknown to him, but he will not have our protection.
Man. Cassius thinks like long and hard about that, like weighing the pros and the cons. Because like there's a part of him that just wants to take the amulet and go.
Yeah. Ro is very aware. He's putting the cards on the table because ultimately this is what the choice boils down to. Leave and have the safety of not knowing your exact location known, but be on your own. Or stay, knowing that he might know where you are, at least in, like, general terms, but have people available to back you up.
Like, here's the thing. Cassius has been on his own and doing his own thing for a while now. He figures... Most of the time, he would figure that he could handle himself in this kind of category. But, like, recently he's been thinking otherwise. It's been... As loath as he is to admit it, it has been nice to have a place where he can just be himself and not have to worry about, like, being by himself and, like, all the cons that come with it.
You got attached, didn't you, Squidward?
He got attached. It's Gregory's fault. Gregory and Lynn's fault.
Yeah, it tends to be how it be when I do.
Mostly Gregory.
Gregory somewhere sneezing.
Like, legit, if Gregory had not attempted to, like, get closer to Cassius, I think Cassius would have immediately taken the peck off option in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
He would have just taken Simon and go. Leave. Abscond into the mountains. But, Cassius eventually answers, I think I would prefer my chances if I stayed here.
That is good. And he does, like, there is a very visible change to his countenance. The sternness doesn't quite vanish completely, but it does fall away a fair amount. And there's more of that warmth that you're used to seeing from him. And he goes, so, Zen, first thing, I have been rolling you in Vampirism 101. Because I think there are certain things that you refused to learn the first time around that you could really do with learning now.
Yup, you are going to school.
You are going to school, Jimbo.
You have no choice.
I am also going to put you into... I hate using the word probation because that's not quite correct, but it is a form of probation technically. You will not be allowed to feed without someone else present, both to protect you and to protect whomever volunteers.
Cassius, like, nods in understanding. Honestly, he prefers that. He's already struggled enough on his own. He needs the guidance. He needs it. And he does not trust himself with anything right now.
Yeah. The notepad gets pulled a little bit closer and there's like a line scored under the previous notes, and then he goes, so, what exactly is it that you feed on? Is it the color? Is it ink? Is it blood? You seem to drink that tea fairly well.
All of the above, really. And like Cassius kind of sets the cup down for a moment. I can feed on ink, blood, the hue of an object. I have no idea why I can feed on so many, but
It is likely a concession from the way you've returned. There are some who are similar. You are a toon as well, that tends to lend itself more toward flexibility. Are you able to eat solid foods if they are colored red? If I were to, I don't know, bake a red velvet cake?
solid foods, no.
What about pureed smoothies or milkshakes or...
Yes.
Noting this all down intently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there are many options. In that case, then you may not need to feed off of blood, although I wonder if it might be better to get you accustomed to it, if you suffer from blood frenzy so badly.
I find that if I feed from things that are not ink or blood, it's not as filling. If I feed on things that are purely hue or food items, I need to eat them more often.
That would make sense. Have you tried feeding on collected blood rather than fresh?
Occasionally, but it is difficult to keep it in a proper condition.
But it still fills you as fresh blood food, or...
Cassius nods.
That is a problem easily solved then. We have many blood banks. When you took this job, was it primarily for the money?
Cassius, like, eventually he nods, just like, yeah.
So, if there was, I don't know, advertisement for cherry picking that paid the same amount, you would do that as well?
Cassius makes a face like, ooh, labor.
I'm going to assume by that reaction, no. Say it was instead to note take for a lecturer. Something like that. Would you take that?
Cassius nods very quickly on that one, actually. That one actually sounds interesting. He would do that one.
So then it is tasks that are interesting to you that you would take over those that pay better. Is that a fair statement to make?
I'd say that is an accurate statement, yes.
Right. I ask this not because I'm judging your choices, but because we need to gauge the attitude of those entering this town. Is bringing pain and trauma to others something that interests you?
What? No.
That's good. Knowing now what you do, would you take this job again?
Absolutely not.
I apologize if I have made you uncomfortable with this, but monsters, although somewhat unjustly called such, some very much earn their reputation. We have to be certain.
Cassius nods and picks up his cup again, and he's kind of absently fiddling with it. Like turning it around in his head, in his hand, kind of thing.
Row, lets it slide, making a few more notes. Taps the feather of his quill against his mouth thoughtfully, and then goes, would you prefer to live on your own, or would you mind sharing a communal space with other people, or would you want a roommate?
I've had the roommates for several months now.
Just raises an eyebrow and gestures for you to go on.
It is... This is a long and complicated explanation. He... I don't know how to describe Simon.
Yes,
I don't know how Cassius would describe Simon. How do you describe that the roommate you have, while they can now occupy the material plane, was just kind of like a ghost dude that hung out in your brain for a bit? Like, how do you explain that?
Like that? This is Halloween
No,
Town. They're used to that kind of thing.
Sure. Cassian explains it in probably more words that I cannot pull up right now, because he speaks smarter than me.
That is a most strange form of possession. I do believe I shall have to speak with the other ghosts about this. That is very curious. If this roommate of yours is still around, I should most enjoy interviewing him.
You'll probably see him around town. He wears an obnoxious hat and bright red and yellow sunglasses.
Achtung. He kind of cups his hat and makes a few more notes. You have excited him with scientific inquiry.
I have sicked the vampire on the digital.
Fucking anime eye flash in the background. Simon somewhere. I feel haunted.
Hang on, I'm gonna get a sip real quick.
Yeah. Everyone in the audience, take a sippy right fucking now. I'm holding a gun to your head. Don't tell me no, Marzi.
Preferably with water, but it could be a beverage of your choice.
Obtain beverage.
Obtain beverage.
Fucker. Okay. Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's more bonus being made. And then Ro goes, so, I will inquire as to what positions are currently open within this school. I do believe you would likely appreciate a position here rather than mayhaps out in the fields, although if you have any objections to this, do let me know. As for lodgings, I do believe we have some single and double rooms available in the crypt, although... How do you feel about living underground?
Cassius has immediately handed me discomfort.jpg. Which makes sense, considering his upbringing probably told him a lot of, yeah, undead not good. Crypts. Sounds like a bad place to be.
Yes, quite a few turned vampires have that reaction initially. They are quite clean. We do live there, after all. Well, in a manner of speaking. Also, I can understand the distaste for the, shall we say, unexperienced. In that case, then, I believe for the moment it would be best to put you in perhaps one of the hotels. I will inquire as to where is available. I do believe that one had a vacancy recently, and he starts kind of like muttering to himself as he makes more notes. Shuffles the parchment a bit to unroll the little bit more at the end and roll up the top a bit.
I think Cassius is just gonna busy himself with finishing his tea.
Have you any questions for me?
Cassius thinks. None that are immediately coming to mind. Though I'm sure if I ever get a question, I could ask you later.
With certainty. So... You have a familiar, yes?
Cassius nods and like he takes like the collar of his turtleneck sweater and opens it a little bit, and then a little black cat head pops out of it, out of his hammer space.
Oh, this is very cute. What is her name?
This is Luna. And Luna will hop out of the sweater and start and like hop down onto Cassius's lap. And Cassius will start to give absent-minded little scritches.
Luna. What a very cute name. Befitting. Well, if you ever need to contact me, you may send your familiar with a message if you cannot find me, or simply leave a message with my secretary, or if you need to, buddy plane, sending, however you desire, really, I will endeavor to get back to you as soon as I am able. If you have any
Cassius nods.
If you have any concerns that come up, or you have a problem with certain things, I'm more than happy to help. So, you may have to anticipate that my response will simply be, that is not something that I am able to change, or even that is not something that we are allowed to change, or even that is classified. My position
Cassius thinks on that answer for a little bit before just nodding and understanding, like, okay, that's weird, but okay.
My position on the town council makes me privy to certain knowledges that I am unable to share. Do you understand?
I understand, yes.
Good. I briefly touched on it before, and I'm sure you have noticed the defenses by this point, but we are currently preparing for a kind of war with a certain other threat, such has been known.
I gathered that. I've spoken with Gregory a few times. I can understand the kind of people you're dealing with.
If the town should ever come under threat, it will react to defend its people. You will likely be shown rather abruptly to the catacombs under the town. They are made like you will not get your way through unless Kara lets you. But they are safe.
Understood.
Speaking of which, have you experienced the town?
Sorry, what'd you say?
He said, speaking of which, have you experienced the town?
I have mostly perused through the libraries, but Gregory has been showing me around.
No,
It changes often.
Yes. What do you know of Genius Loci?
Cassius actually, lightens up a little bit. I'm familiar.
This town is one.
Ah, that makes sense, actually.
Their name is Kara. They are old. As best we can ascertain, some part of them exists within the uncanny valleys, and it survives erasures. This place has been the base of a Genius Loci for further than history can record.
That is fascinating. Cassius murmurs, oh, oh. The curiosity has reared its ugly head.
The exact specifics of how they are in terms of temperament and personality do not seem to stay the same. As best as they are aware, the Kara that is now is not the same as the Kara that was before the last erasure. They are also not the only Genius Locum in the town, although that I will remain vague on, as I'm unsure what information you are privy to.
Cassius nods and... yeah, he just nods.
Translation, he doesn't know if Cassius knows about Network.
I feel like Network has been mentioned in passing, but I don't know if Network has been mentioned as a straight-up genius loci to Cassius.
One day Cassius is gonna walk into Network and have the fright of his fucking life.
Oh, I'm counting on it. I'm counting on it. Trust me, I think about Cassius trying to sneak in to mess with Gregory daily. And then immediately getting networked.
Oh my god, you're going in the hammer space, my guy. That's how you end up in the walls.
There he goes. He's in the walls.
Man, at this point, Ro does start taking off of his fingers. Genius Loci, the rules. What am I missing? Ah, yes, that was the other thing. So, you may see around town, the councils, the members of the council, the heads of the various sections of government. You may see them around town. Feel free to say hi. If you're very personable. I would suggest, if you do not wish to feel like your soul is being opened like a book, to avoid making eye contact with the mayor of the town or with his husband, Mr. Ash. It is not intentional, but they are both very insightful, and it can get a bit much at times for the unaccustomed.
If it's anything like Lynn, I think I understand what you're getting at.
It's similar, but not quite the same. Lynn is a detective. She does it on purpose. They do it by accident, and they don't mean to do it, and they don't mean to do it. They will apologize if they realize they are doing it, but it happens.
Concerning. Go on.
They are simply very insightful people. It makes them very good politicians. At least it makes them very good at reading politicians who cannot seem to utter the truth. Is their life depended on it? I have no idea how they deal with it. But that's not my problem. It also makes them very good at identifying threats. If you have never seen them in action, I hope you do not have to see them in action. But they are very good at what they do.
Thing to have. In any situation, really.
I truly cannot think of any who I would rather have my back than the other 5.
Cassius like goes to nod, but then there's like a little paw in his face, and he goes, Luna, I'm already petting you. And she just meows and like sits herself in a way so that her butt is in the air. And Cassius rolls his eyes and like gives her scritches on the spot she wants scritches.
Rhoda's chuckle. He's very used to cats. He gets it.
It's just like, yeah, there's important conversation happening, but nothing is more important than giving me butt scritches. Right now.
I think at this point, Ro's own familiar comes in. It is currently in the form of a bat that kind of just like perches on his shoulder.
Aww. Little bat.
What the fuck are they called? Leaf nose bats?
Leaf nose bats? Hold on.
Yeah, that's what they
I
look
need,
like.
I need to look.
They're
I need to look
kind
up
of
something.
uggo, but they're very cute.
Oh, I love them! Oh, I love them! Oh, that's a creature!
They are very creature.
Oh, cute!
They're cute in the same way that like newborn Sphinx cats are cute. They're very ugly.
Yeah.
But they're cute about it.
They're ugly. So ugly, it's cute.
Yeah. It looks at the cat and then just kind of like starts like nudging Ro, and he just goes, yes, you are very good, and like brushes its head a little bit.
The bat demands pets as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's pet time.
Yes, you may also, if you need to speak to me and you see her flying around, you may also, don't grab her, but grab her.
Understood, yes. And Cassius nods.
If you need her attention, her name is Sanguine.
Sanguine. I'm going to attempt to write that in my notes. If I misspell it, I misspell it.
I'll put it in the chat.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like that.
Sanguine. That's such a fun little name.
It's short for exsanguinate.
Nice.
Yeah. He shovels up his notes, puts his quill back in the ink pot, and goes, I do not believe I have anything for you more at the moment. I shall be in contact once I have confirmed where it is you shall be living. We shall also work on getting you a stipend if we cannot immediately find a position for you. I would suggest you pay attention to when Kara tries to speak with you. It will never be verbally. She's not fond of exact words, whilst not in her ambulata. but if you pay attention, you will notice. Likewise, if you are intending to exit the city, then either use a teleportation point to travel to whatever locale you wish, or exit via the demarcated gates. Attempting to simply leave through the outskirts will likely just walk you straight into monster territory, and some of them are rather territorial.
Cassius nods. Okay, noted. You are offering me a lot of protections that I feel I don't deserve.
There is always help to be offered in Halloween Town. One must simply ask. We are aware of the ache being hunted causes. It may seem like a lot now, but to us it is a trifle. A safe place to sleep, food in your stomach, money in your wallet. Small things. But so very worth it.
Cassius has fallen kind of quiet. As like, yeah, yeah. Do you want to roll insight? I feel like it'd be fun to make you roll insight.
We'll attempt. I will make the attempt. An attempt has been made. It's not terrible. If I can get my keyboard to fucking work with me here. That's an 18.
18. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. Cassius is a little difficult to read, like, if you aren't actively, like, seeking out what his emotions are. But he's not as difficult to read as someone with a completely bonkers deception modifier like goddamn Lynn. But, what you said there with what you said at the end there definitely struck a chord with Cassius that he hasn't felt in a while. And, like, he's just having a moment where he's just taken aback from it.
Kind of tilts his head a little bit to see if Cassius will elaborate on how he's feeling.
He won't. He will not. No one is allowed to know what Cassius is feeling. Everyone knows what Cassius is feeling at all times.
My guy. Yeah. He had a suspicion. Ro gives him like a half a minute or so, and then is like, yeah, no, I didn't think he was going to. Oh well. Yeah. Rolls up his parchment.
Cassius is not a fellow who puts his emotions on his sleeves for all to see. Those
Except
stay.
he absolutely does put his emotions on his sleeves for all to see.
Except he does.
Yeah.
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 Not the vulnerable ones. The vulnerable ones are no. You aren't allowed to look at those. Stop looking.
1, bottle your emotions. Step 2, Molotov cocktail.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yay. Yeah. Ro rolls up the parchment he'd been taking notes on. Finishes his cup of tea. And goes, well, I shall not keep you any longer. The library is still open if you wish to continue to peruse. I shall find you later with details of your stay.
Cassius nods and he waits for Luna to hop up onto his shoulders before standing up from the chair. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
For taking the time to to speak with me on this matter.
You are most welcome. You
I
will
think
find...
with that, Cassius will wait to see if Ro has anything else to say before taking his leave.
Yeah, he just kind of, like,
Mhm.
pauses to figure out the best wording, and then goes, "In matters of morality, you will find no judgment from me." And then he will open the door for Cassius to leave.
Yep. Cassius will nod and give a little bow of a goodbye before before stepping out.
He has a bright future ahead of him, if only he will listen. Well, I suppose time for Simply Town. I think it's a good place to iris out, unless you got anything else.
No, that seems like a good place to leave it off.
fucking Omake in the Nightmare Carnival Graves, fucking head in his hands, like, good luck.
Graves with good pecking luck. Cassius is stubborn. TM.
He is stubborn TM, but he's also had his worldview kind of sort of shattered. Which makes for good growth if they don't, like, come back even more stubborn afterward.
Yep.
But the initial regret is a good sign.
Yeah.
we can foster better decisions.
Better decisions, please. My boy needs to make better decisions.
We will drag him kicking and screaming into making better decisions.
Yep.
Man.
Oh yes, this was a very tasty FPS. Thank you.
It's very good.
Tune
Tune in next week for not fucking this.
for the opposite of this, where we torture Cassius with shenanigans.
Cassius steps outside, and there's a familiar silhouette just off to one side. And a to be continued sign in the bottom right corner. Oh man, I'm gonna fucking end my recording here before we continue waffling on.
Yes.
Good night, listeners.
Good night, everybody. Bye bye.